Good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Very welcome to another edition of Something for the Weekend from Martin Lynch & Sons, the world's favourite ham store. Right, got some really interesting little bits for you this week. First up is young David talking about this little box here. For those of you that remember the MFJ 1708, I think it is, which isn't made anymore, unfortunately. MFJ, after all these many years, have finally pulled the plug and retired, and good luck to Martin Dew, who's run the company admirably for donkey's years. This is the same beastie with a few enhancements over it. So David's going to be talking about that. Next after, Tony, my sales manager, is interviewing a very happy and enthusiastic young fellow called Jack, another new radio amateur to the regime, who's actually got his own YouTube channel, is full of enthusiasm, and we've got a little present for him, which you'll see, and that comes after David. After that, we whiz all the way down to the southwest of the UK, yes, you guessed it, good old Bideford in Devon, where I'm wandering around a celebration, 100 years, of an Austin Chummy of my dear friend Jeff G4SOF. So lots to come in this video. So without further ado, over to David.
Hello and welcome. I'm David, Mike Zero TPT, Purchasing Manager here at Martin Lynch & Sons. Today, we're going to talk about noise floors at home. Perhaps you haven't got one of the latest and greatest radios with the digital noise reduction. I'm going to show you a solution that will help you hear more, because obviously we can only work what we can hear. So today on the table, I've got the SDR from is RSP Duo from SDR Play, and that's what we're going to be using today as our SDR unit. And then we've got the SDR switch. Now you may not have come across these guys before, but this switch is very similar to the 1708. So we're all a bit sad that MFJ are no longer, but the 1708 was a prolific part of somebody wanting to run in an SDR, but still transmit through their radio. Yep, so we're going to use the SDR to listen with, but we're going to be transmitting through the radio. And this little box instantly is going to ground or earth or short, so no damage occurs to our very expensive SDR. So this little box here, as I said, SDR.com, we've got various connections on here. Can't see them from this angle, but we've got the RX, we've got the TX and the antenna. So our antenna goes on this one, then our radio plugs into this one, and our SDR, or in this instance our SDR Play, will plug in to this one. And then all we need to do on the back, we've got a 12 volt power supply that goes into there. And then we've got the PTT, so that's to push to talk. And what will happen is we'll connect the radio to this, and then this box will know when we're TXing and when to short any access to the SDR Play, and that's when it goes into this, well, protection mode, for want of a better word. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this wired up, and then I'm going to show you it working. We're going to have a little listen on the bands, and you can see just how good not only this little box is for protecting your SDR, but just how good SDR Play is, and the software, the SDRuno we're going to be using today, and just how good that software is. Right, firstly, we're going to connect our antenna to the antenna port on the switch box. I've got our antenna here. We're using a long wire today. So what you'll find is on the box, these are all BNCs, all BNC connectors, and I've just got a converter there, which is a BNC to an SO239, okay? Obviously, you could have an antenna with a BNC plug on it and you wouldn't need an adapter, but in this instance, I need the adapter. So we're going to pop that on there. Double make sure, and always double make sure that you are plugging it into the right one, because you don't want to be plugging them into the wrong one. So we've got the antenna. I've got the antenna in my hand. I'm going to make that connection. There we go. So we've got our antenna plugged in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in our transmit from our radio. So I'm going to plug that in. That should be the middle one. There we go, TX. So where it says TX, that's where we're going to plug in our radio. So we're going to plug that in there. There we go. Right. Next thing, we want to connect our SDR player or our SDR into the SDR socket there. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, so just a tiny little patch lead, double checking all the time, RX for receive, RX for receive. So I'm going to pop that on there, just needs to be tight enough, there we go. And then that's going to go into our SDR, just like that. So that's all the connections to our radio, to our antenna, to our SDR. So that front end is all finished and ready to go. But there's a couple more things we've got to do. On the back, like I said, we've got a 12-volt supply. So I'm going to grab that. And that's going to go on there. And that's going to power the box. The box doesn't work unless you power it. So very important. And then we've got our PTT, our push to talk. And that's our radio telling the box that it needs to do something and short. Okay, so that plugs in there like that. Then we're done. It's now all set up. I've plugged in all the relevant cables following the identifying marks underneath the ports at the front. We've got our PTT cable in, and we've got the power in, and we've got the power supply on. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go and start the software, and we're going to have a little look on here. One thing just to mention though, is obviously the radio we've got here today isn't set up to actually follow the SDR and vice versa. So there's no rig control that I've set up here today. This is just an example of how you would set it up and what it will actually do and protecting your SDR play using the switch. Okay, so the frequencies will be different, but I'll make sure they're synced up when we go to the bit where I'm actually keying it up, and you should be able to hear this clicking and protecting the SDR play. So here we are. All we need to do is click the play button, which is the green icon up here, and away we go. We've got audio, we've got signal. Now we are in a noisy environment here. Like I said, we are using the long wire, so we've got quite a high noise floor. So we found someone here, and we're on 7.187. And obviously I'm not going to transmit on that frequency because somebody is on there. What we're going to do, we're going to find a little, there we go. So we're going to have a listen to that while I set up the radio. So we're on 7195. There we go. And we're on LSP. And what I want to do is just put a quick tune on. There we go, we're done. So the mic's plugged in. You saw me do a tune there, so we're all nicely tuned. Just remember that these aren't syncing. We don't have rig control set up. I've made sure we're on the same frequency, which is 7195, lower sideband. When I key up now and talk into the mic, this will switch and it will protect the SDR play. You will hear me on there a little bit, but normally you can just dumb that down a little bit. And that won't be any problem. Is the frequency in use? Is the frequency in use? Mic 0, Tango, Papa, Tango. Mic 0, TPT. Mic 0, TPT. Test 1, 2, 3. So I can hear this box clicking. You may not, but I can hear it clicking. It's protecting the SDR play from my RF that's going out via the antenna, which they're both sharing, not simultaneously. That's the idea behind the box. But it's protecting. I can see my signal coming up on the SDR play unit here. And we'll do that one more time. Mic 0, TPT, testing 1, 2, 3. So I can see the waveform of my audio there. And there's lots and lots of other tricks and things how you can manipulate your receive audio in SDRuno. Do check it out. It really is so brilliant. It's unbelievable, especially if you're suffering from noise at home. So single antenna, want some advanced DNR software, older radio. This is the setup that you need. The SDR switch box which is going to protect your SDR play, and your SDR play coupled with SDRuno is such a powerful tool. And that is it. It is really simple to set up, so easy to use. It takes a little while to get used to SDRuno, as it would anything else, as it has me this morning working out how to use it again after a bit of a break from having my first SDR play unit. But that's not all. That's not all. There's another little trick up this little box sleeve, in as much as you've heard lots and lots. If you're an avid YouTube watcher, and I suppose you watching me doing this, you probably watch a little bit of YouTube. But there's lots of talk about loops on the grounds, or having a second antenna or a beverage antenna, something that is nice and quiet, maybe isn't picking up some of your local noise, like an RX loop or just a loop on the ground. But I've got a 7300 here, and unfortunately there's only one antenna on the back of it. So I can't plug in my listening antenna and my TX antenna at the same time. I can't do it. I've only got one port. However, this box will allow you to do that. Remembering this is only rated for 100 watts, so we're talking about rig power, no amplifiers or anything like that. This box will allow you to listen on a loop on the ground and then be able to TX on your TX antenna. So what we're going to do, we're going to reconfigure this, and we're going to have a little look and a little listen on how that would work. Okay, so off camera, I just very quickly reconfigured the box to work as a 2 antenna port, so you can have a receive antenna, loop on the ground, loop on the side of your house, whatever it is you've decided to do for a receive listening antenna. So the changes are, and if you do go to the website and look at this product, Henry will be putting it up now, you'll be able to see it's got the connections on it. So it will show you how to add it. So on the antenna, I've now got that connected to the rig. So the antenna there is now connected to the TX on the back of the rig, on the back of the 7300. I've got the antenna, and now this is the antenna that I intend to TX on. This is our long wire, yeah, and that's going into the TX of the switch box. Now, you're going to have to imagine a little bit that I've got my receive antenna and I've got the coax in my hand. I'm going to plug it into the box. And that coax connector from your receive antenna goes onto the RX of the box. Okay. Now what will happen is, in the box's idle state, you're listening on your receive antenna. No problem at all. You'll be able to hear whatever you can normally hear with your receive antenna, and hopefully it's better than what you normally get on your TX antenna. I then key the radio. What will happen is this will be shorted, and I will TX on coming into here, into the box, and then out on our TX antenna. So in theory, I've got 2 ports. I've got one loop on the ground, receive antenna, and I've got my TX antenna. That is the little trick that this little box has got up its sleeve, because if we've got a radio with a single port, there isn't many ways that I know of to be able to have a receive antenna, unless you've got something like the 7610 or the 101. So the 710, the DX10, both single antenna units, same with the 73. So a dual purpose for the box is, not only can you use it with your favorite SDR, you can also use it with a listening antenna or a loop on the ground or an RX antenna. That's pretty much it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have, puzzling out how to get all of this wired up. So it's been a lovely learning curve for me. If you've got any questions, stick it in the comments. If you like our videos, then definitely don't forget to like, and if you really like them, subscribe, because then you'll get notified about the next video that we put out. So thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you, David, for this, and they're available to order on the website now. Right, over to Tony to meet this young man, Jack, I'll apologise in advance actually, because we recorded this on Saturday. Yes, it is pre-recorded. We recorded it on Saturday and the audio's a little bit iffy. So apologies in advance. You can hear it perfectly, but it's not the super high quality through these microphones. Over to you, Tony.
Now, something a little bit different for you again. As you know, we love to support young amateurs within the hobby. And as you can probably see, we have a young amateur here by the name of Jack.
Mike 7 Juliet India Charlie.
There we go. As you can see, he's got his call sign already. We're going to ask Jack how he kind of got involved in the hobby and how we kind of heard about Jack as well. It's kind of interesting in a way. So, Jack, you go ahead first and let us know why amateur radio.
Thanks, Tony. So to start with, my mum went on the UK amateur radio group where I got referred and got quite the attention, which is where Tony, the sales manager here at Martin Lynch & Sons, came onto the Facebook group and saw me. And that's how I came to here today.
To come here, yep. So basically, cut a long story short, because it was quite a long story. I did watch it for a little while. What was going on? It's part of the Facebook group Amateur Radio UK. So a lot of you amateurs may be involved with the group as well on Facebook. Obviously, I'm on there as well. I was watching, and I kept seeing Jack's mum pop up on there and asking many questions. And luckily, the whole of the ham radio community was very supportive and fed a lot of information back to Jack's mum. And you get yourself licensed, obviously. And then I kept seeing these little bits of comments coming up, not always on your mum's posts, on other people's posts saying, "Oh, I just worked Jack. I worked Jack on the local repeater." I'm thinking, "No, wait a minute, Jack's only just been licensed." He seems very active. Hence why we thought we'd get you down to the store, have a look around, because obviously you've not been to the shop before, have you?
No.
So your dad's kindly brought you down.
Yep.
And there's a little thing as well. Your dad's licensed as well, I heard.
Yes, he's a M3.
Yeah. So he let it kind of slip. I had a little chat with him. He let it slip for a while. So we're going to try and drag him back into the hobby.
Back to the hobby.
Exactly. So, as I said at the start, why did you choose amateur radio? I know you said you was into aviation and stuff before.
Well, I started to communicate with my friends up and down the street with these toy walkie-talkies. They weren't great. They were little Retrovis ones. And I thought there's got to be more than this. So I first tried CB radio. I thought this isn't regulated enough. I've got to go and do something that's more regulated and has more people that are going to perhaps not be swearing on channel 19. So when you come, I saw amateur radio, and so I got into that and started working the 2-meter band and the local repeaters where I live in Cambridge. The local repeater is called GB3PI.
Okay, I started that for GB3PI as well, and that's a very active repeater. But interesting to hear that you came through, as many of us have basically gone through walkie-talkies with friends. A lot of people, as I said, with the aviation side have listened to airband radio as well and scanners. Going a good way into the hobby, and then we went through CB radio, and then moved on from there. So, you know, we don't discriminate here. It's all radio in our eyes, as we say, and the end result is normally amateur radio, which is positive, which is great. And I spoke to you earlier, and you said a lot of the amateurs have been really helpful to you.
Yes.
No issues on air. You're not mic shy, which is great. So I think that's quite evident, and that's a big help. So age-wise, how old are you now?
I'm 11.
11. See. So I think that's roughly the same age as the last young amateur that we had on as well, which is good, which is a great thing. But you did organise everything yourself when it comes to the learning, because did you say you used Essex Ham?
Yes, Essex Ham, very good.
And you just
Amazing.
Went out there and found out what to do yourself?
Yep, pretty much.
There you go. So thank you, Essex Ham, because you made it very easy for this guy to get his licence, and that's what we want. That's what we want to hear. So whilst you're down here, Jack, I thought I'd give you a little bag of goodies.
Thank you so much.
That's all right. So I did see that you had a Yacer hat already.
Yeah.
So that's smart. I quickly changed that over to a Kemet hat.
Perfect.
So that's for you there.
Thank you very much.
And then you've got some propagation charts.
Okay.
So start studying propagation.
Yep.
On HF bands and stuff.
Amazing.
It's good. We've got some silly little stuff like a little key ring. Just to put your mug on.
Oh, thank you.
We've got a mug. Then we've got a mug, so we're going to make sure I carry everything. A lanyard from the RSGB.
Wow, that's so much stuff.
Good. So I mentioned the RSGB as well. If you have just started, there's a great video on now as well about adjusting SWR and what to do when you've just started. Okay, going on from there, we've got a bit of coax. I know you needed some coax. We've got some wire, which is always handy. Ballon. This we can make it into obviously a bag. Do you want to put it all back in the bag? Because otherwise you're going to struggle with that. Yeah. Put that there for now. You're probably wondering that you've got coax, you've got some wire and a ballon.
Yeah.
Probably going to need a power supply at some point as well. So there's one of the power supplies.
Thank you so much.
You're going to probably miss a radio. So there's a little Zygu G90 for you.
I've always wanted
So
one
we
of
open
these.
that.
Wow.
You can now. So I know you've been dying to get onto HF.
I have been.
So
certainly.
There's a little G90 for you. It's not new, obviously.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's all been tested out here, so it works
Perfect.
fully. Built-in ATU, 20 watts, so you're close to 25 watts for HF.
Yeah.
Microphone's in there, DC cable. You have to download the manual, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's fine. But thank you so much. I'm
No, that's all right.
very grateful.
No
Thank
problem
you
at
so
all, but
much.
that will get you on the air, get you onto HF. If you hear Jack on the air on HF, please be nice to him. And you like pile-ups, you said.
Yeah, I love pile-ups.
So let's try and get Jack a pile-up. So give us that call sign again, Jack.
Mike 7, Juliet India Charlie.
There we go. So thank you again for watching, and don't forget, if you know of a young amateur that wants to move on in the hobby, please try and support them, because that's how we're going to keep the hobby going. Nearly forgot as well, as much as you're watching this on YouTube, Jack's got his own YouTube channel now as well.
My YouTube channel is called JV Zamrad. It's a very small channel with only about 6 videos, but I'm really hoping to grow my subscriber count and get a bigger community and inspire people to join the radio hobby.
Which is a great thing. So if you are subscribed to our channel, obviously go to Jack's channel. We will put a link in the comments, and pressing that button. If we can get him over 1,000, you could probably earn a couple of pounds on it. You never know. Yeah. So let's try and get him monetised. Take care.
Take care.
Right, thank you both. That was funny, wasn't it? He's so enthusiastic. Definitely going to sign him up for a Saturday job, Jack. So make sure you come along and say hello and sign yourself in. Right, over to the southwest. And let's have a look at these little Austin Chummys, shall we? Austin 7s, love them. So here we are at Jeff Blight G4 SOFs. My buddy down in Bideford in North Devon. And the reason we're here is that it's 100 years of the Austin 7. The Chummy, as it's affectionately known as, built the Longbridge factory in Great Britain. And these cars are 100 years old. Jeff's got 2, of course. This is his one in Works livery. There you go, Blight's Motors. So not only being an excellent operator, Jeff is also a very skilled mechanic and runs some rather huge workshops. There's 3, 4, 5 of them over there. And they're also an MG main dealer. So I'm not going to do an advert for Jeff, but I suppose I am. But if you're looking at EVs or any of the MG range, come and see Jeff in North Devon. It's definitely worth it. This is one of his. This he bought was a basket case. The guy who actually owned it apparently is coming down tonight. And this, look at this, look. Fantastic. If you're into old cars, what a lovely get together here. Jeff will know all the model numbers, of course. And this is the one that arrived earlier. With a family in it. How great is that? Who said you can't commute in a nearly 100-year-old vehicle? They really are in stunning condition. And how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7 yet? No, nearly. It's not bad getting these together because they are extremely slow on the road. They don't brake very well. They really don't steer very well. But this is the one I took a video of in last year when I was sitting in this. Jeff's one. And I'll show a picture of what it was like when Jeff bought it. It was literally up a hedge, up a fence. I don't quite know how he got it there, but I think he was worse aware for driving, I think is the word. So there it is. 100 years of the Austin Chummy. If you want to hear what the engine sounds like, nearly 100-year-old engine, here it is. With a crank handle, of course.
I found this in boxes, a complete wreck
Yeah.
in Barnstable in the year 2000, I think it was. In a couple of years, I put it all back together again, found all the bits that were missing, and I got it back on the road. And there's a book on Austin Sevens which my dad gave me.
Yeah.
You know, I had this book for several years, and then I saw that the author of the book, who I've known for a long time, a chap called Rinsey Mills. Anyway, Rinsey said to me, he said, "Oh, have you spotted your car in my book yet, Jeff?" I said, "No, it's not in." Yeah, he said, "When you go and have a..." And when I looked in the book, yes, I found a picture of the car, but it was parked on top of a 5-bar gate, about this high off the ground. And I said to Rinsey, I said, "Yeah, I found the picture." He said, "Oh, I've got some more." He said, "I'll get a big one done for you and send Boris over with it." I said, "Who's Boris?" "Oh, that's the guy who was driving it, who actually lives in Barnstable and is supposed to come along here later on."
Oh, hopefully we'll do. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
So that's the so
And
this,
that was was it in 2020 that
no,
you drove?
well, Boris smashed it up in 1961. He was a student in South Wales, and there were 5 of them driving it home from the pub. But after I put it back on the road, I took it to the Bewley Rally several times.
How long did it take you to build back together again?
2 or 3 years, I think.
Literally?
Yeah.
What, in that workshop?
No, in my main
In
workshop.
the main workshop, yeah.
I had a completely rebuild.
Well, it's in and is this one actually 100 years old?
It is actually 100 years old today. It was first registered the 28th of March 1925
Amazing.
in Glamorgan, South Wales.
Good God. Christ.
And I don't know any of the early history at all.
And what's the association with the Chummy? Why did they call it a Chummy?
They called it a Chummy because it was, if there were 4 adults in it, you were very chummy.
Very Chummy.
And that's why. But it was when Lord Austin had the design. Apparently, it was designed on a snooker table. I don't know if that's right or wrong. A chap called what was he called? Stanley Lynch or something like that. But anyway, basically, it was for mum and dad and 2 children.
Wow.
And that's all you really get in the back.
Cruising speed, what are you typically doing going along with
Top
that?
speed's about 45.
45.
Downhill with a wind behind you.
This is a lot newer, isn't it?
That's a lot later. That's about 1936, something like that.
Okay.
And that's the Austin 7 Ruby.
Yeah.
There was another Chummy just came in here, which I hadn't seen before. He's driven that one over from Ilfracombe.
Yeah, that's a hell of a long way to come.
Yeah.
Well, it is in one of these anyway.
Yeah.
I do like the colour of this. Very regal, that, and lovely red.
I'm not sure whose car that is. But the little green van there, I've watched that one. That's been restored by Martin over the years. Quite a rare vehicle as well.
Yeah.
Vans are quite rare because they tended to be used and got
so they get worn out a lot. So when did you convert this to a van? Hello, look at this. Here we go. We got.
There's another. That's an Austin 7 Ruby.
That's another Ruby.
That one, Nick Gregg drives that one all over the place. He drives to Bewley and back in that one. Wow. Squeaky brakes. Squeaky brakes, all right, Nick?
So there you go. That's a radio hand with other interests, shall we say, as most of us have. My interest is cars and that's enough.
You go forward and back again.
Cars and motorbikes.
Get it looking up that way.
And amateur radio, of course, which has allowed me to meet all these wonderful people over the years. I always say that about amateur radio. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. It's great camaraderie. I just love the hobby and love who I meet through it. So tell me about this van then, Jeff.
This van, well, they built, this is a replica of a Gordon England Dunlop Reps van. Yeah. Which they were 4 made originally in Wembley, London. Yeah. And a guy I met and his son back in the 70s found it derelict in a scrapyard in the Midlands. Basically all they found was a chassis and few bits of wood. It got saved. The number got saved.
Yeah.
Managed to get a document for it, and
It really is immaculate, isn't it?
it got rebuilt. It got rebuilt completely wrong.
Oh.
And a friend of mine who helped me with parts for my other one over in Somerset had it in his garage, and me and my dad went over there one day, and Dad said, "Oh," he said, "that would be a good little project." So that's how I started off.
Yeah.
But I completely I had the chassis in the garage, and it's all my own woodwork.
Yeah, and all your own fabrication.
Yeah.
Have you taken this to Bewley?
Yeah, this has been the Bewley. It's been.
Right, look at all this inside. Look. Reminds me of my father. My
So
dad
this
was great
originally
with
would have been. I've driven this around Goodwood 6 laps. in they had a celebration of Austin Sevens in 2022 was the centenary of the Seven. So this would have been originally covered in what they call Rexine,
Yeah.
which is actually what that seat is. That's an old original
Yeah.
seat,
Yeah.
and obviously you can't get that anymore.
No,
So
of course not. There it is.
it was a bit of fun.
One of only 4 in the country.
Yeah,
4
yeah.
surviving, and if Jeff hadn't put it all back together, we wouldn't be having it now. Fantastic.